Welcome to the Boardroom. On our show today, clock's ticking. The Michigan men's basketball team searches for a way to win as the NCAA tournament quickly approaches. And it's back indoors for the Michigan hockey team as they head to Minnesota for their toughest test of the season. And finally, it's back to business for the Michigan softball and baseball teams as they open up their seasons this weekend. I'm Greg Garno. Thanks for joining us. Filling in for Max Boltman today, who, like Brian Williams, is taking a break after misremembering some important details, mainly his econ exam. I'm joined today by Jason Rubenstein, senior sports editor and hockey beat writer, and back from retirement, Alejandro Zuniga, a former co-managing sports editor. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
Guys, let's start on the hardwood, where the Michigan men's basketball team has struggled to close out some games as of late. Mainly Indiana falling 3 points short a week ago against Michigan State, and a week before that against Wisconsin. Alejandro, we'll start with you. What does this team got to do to close out games, and do you think they can do it?
Well, yeah, I think what you're seeing right now is that you're seeing a Michigan basketball team that's getting a lot more minutes than it expected out of freshmen like Muhammad Ali, Abdur-rahkman, and Aubrey Dawkins, who weren't expected to contribute as much as they are this year. So can they do it? They're freshmen. They're going to get better at doing it as the season progresses. Unfortunately for them, it may be a little too late.
Yeah, like Alejandro said, they've been in the position, they've made the comeback, they just can't, make the final shot. So it's not like they can't get back into games. It's just a matter of finding an experienced guy to take that last shot. Hypothetically or realistically, you really don't want Muhammad Ali Abdur-rahkman taking that last shot. You want a guy like Karis LeVert, who unfortunately for Michigan is out for the year with a foot injury.
Jason, you just touched on it. You would talk about injuries, inexperience. Does this team, it's going to be a big question, but does this team have enough to make the NCAA tournament, given what they have right now?
Personally, I don't think so. I don't think they have a guy that can really help them in crunch time of games. And as you've seen in the Big Ten games, most of them come down to the wire. And it just doesn't seem like they have the ability to close out games right now.
Alejandro?
Yeah, good news coming out of Michigan's camp today, which is Wednesday. John Beilein said he fully expects Derek Walton to be back before the end of the year. So while I don't think they can make an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament, to be fair, they only have one top 50 RPI win, and they need to pick up a few more. If they can get Derek Walton back, if you can get Derek Walton fully healthy, the team rested for the Big Ten tournament, you might just have a shot. Do I think so? No, but they've shown so far that they can compete with the best in the conference.
All right, let's move to the ice now, where the Michigan hockey team, after playing in Chicago on some pretty sketchy ice, returns now back indoors, where they're going to head to Minneapolis against a pretty tough Minnesota team who's always a strong contender. Jason, we're going to start with you. At the beginning of the season, they struggled. Last year they struggled. You cover hockey. What's been this key to this turnaround this season?
Well, unlike last year, it seems like the team is clicking on the ice and off the ice. They all are friends with each other. They don't have anybody that's like a kind of cancer in the locker room. They've rid of all that. And, they're having fun on the ice. So everyone loves going to practice every day and working hard, and it just seems like that's why all the goals are coming in.
Alejandro, you covered them last season. What's been the biggest key to this turnaround in your mind?
Well, I don't know if there's so much a key to the turnaround, but a factor that's lost a little bit is that Zach Nagelvort, the goaltender, is statistically the best goaltender in the conference, which might seem surprising because Michigan had a lot of goaltending issues earlier this year. Now, a team, as we know in hockey, a team is only as good as its goaltender. So if he can keep playing on a good level, if Michigan can keep scoring goals, as you said, if they can keep clicking, they have a good shot at making the postseason and going even further.
All right, the Michigan hockey team picked up a pretty big win against Michigan State. That puts them 12th in the pairwise rankings. Jason, what does that do for their postseason hopes? And are you optimistic about the way this is looking for them this year?
If they can get one win this weekend at Minnesota, I think a postseason berth is almost likely at this point. If they can sweep Minnesota this weekend, they're going to get themselves into the top 10 of the pairwise. And if you're in the top 10 of the pairwise heading into the Big Ten tournament, you're likely to make the tournament. So that's where they want to be, and it's very possible at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. As Jason was saying, it's very imperative for the team not to get swept this weekend. 2 losses would really set them back. But if they can steal one on the road, that would be huge to give them a step forward. If they could, by some miracle, get a sweep on the road, they'd basically have their foot in the door to make the NCAA tournament again.
One of the keys to Michigan hockey team's success has been its offense. has really been on a tear as of late, and one of the keys to that offense has been Zach Hyman. There's talk about him being a Hobey Baker candidate. He's really strong right now. I mean, do you think he has enough to continue it, and do you think he's the winner this year?
I think he's in the conversation for it right now. He's been on a little slump, if you can call it that, right now. He only had 1 point against Michigan State, only 1 point, and it was an assist on an empty net goal. But yeah, he's definitely in the top 3 right now. Obviously, you have Jack Eichel of Boston University, the sensational freshman that's going to be a top 2 pick in the NHL draft. But a guy who's not many people are talking about is Cody Wido out of Robert Morris, who is leading an offense that has 3.88 goals a game, which is second behind Michigan. So I think that's a name you got to look out for as well.
Alejandro,
Yeah.
do you think he can?
I think he can. I think what you have going for him right now is that Zach Hyman is the best offensive player on the best offensive team in the country. Unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily make him the best player in the country. As Jason mentioned, Jack Eichel from Boston University is by almost everyone's account the best player in the country, despite being just a freshman this year. It would take a lot for Zach Hyman to win it. If he goes on a tear, there's a chance, and that's why they play the game.
Finally, even with a foot of snow on the ground and 15-degree temperatures outside, we're still talking softball and baseball. They're opening up their seasons, and you guys both have some experience in that. Alejandro, we'll start with you. You covered softball in your heyday. You know a thing or two about this. Now, Michigan's usually a contender, to really go far in the postseason. They're usually a safe bet, and they just went 3-1 to open up the season. Now, do you think this year's team, can be a contender in the College World Series?
Oh, absolutely, and I'll give you 2 reasons why. Actually, 3. Number 1, Carol Hutchins, legendary coach, always has the team performing well. If not at the beginning of the season, definitely by the end of the season. Reason number 2, Sierra Romero. Michigan has the best player in the country on their team. She is a powerful offensive weapon. She is a difference maker every single day. Number 3, Michigan has arguably the deepest pitching staff in the country. If you take the 3-headed monster, that's number 1, Haley Wagner, number 2, Sarah Dreisinga, who seems to have rebounded from last year's struggles, and 3, Megan Betza. It's tough to beat this team on any given day, and if you have that combined, especially by the end of the season, you'll have a team that can potentially contend for a national title.
Jason, your experience is in baseball, a beat writer last year. Now, Eric Bakich is in the 3rd year. He's got his recruits with him. He's got some experience. Do you think this year can be a breakout year for him in the Wolverines?
I think so. I was talking to our current beat writers right now, and they said that Bakich has told them that this is the best team he's had since being a head coach. They are obviously a very young team. They only graduated 1 player last year who statistically wasn't even close to their best player. So they're returning Jackson Glines, who was their best hitter last year. They're returning Jacob Cronenworth, who is their closer. And they had a top 20 recruiting class again. So they have a guy named Drew Lugbauer, who's a 3rd baseman, who Bakich said is probably one of their best hitters. So if there's a team to bring success to Michigan, it's this one, not any of the past ones. So Bakich is hopeful for a good year this year.
That's going to do it for us. Men's basketball searches for a way to win. Hockey continues to impress, and I'm still intimidated by Carol Hutchins. As always, don't forget to read our material at michigandaily.com. Cheers.